Tonight, Origin 1, we cross to our reporter. We'll tell you who won the competition opener. Marking 80 years, D-Day, the turning point of World War II, we cross to England. A tactical withdrawal, our E-Safety Commissioner drops legal action against a billionaire's social media company. And we say goodbye to John Blackman, a radio and TV legend, the man behind an iconic voice.
The latest from 7 News with Jerrie Demasi.
Origin 1 is done and dusted. The statistically all-important first game of State of Origin has played. Let's go straight to Mitch Crone at Accor Stadium in Sydney. Mitch, who won?
Queensland by a whopping 28 points, Jerry. And gee, the Blues fans are letting us know just how unhappy they are with that result, though. It was a brave performance from New South Wales, losing Joseph Suaalii. With only about 5 minutes into the game, he was sent off. Reece Walsh was taken off and didn't pass his HIA. The Blues tired out at the end of the game, and that allowed Queensland's eldest statesman and Ben Hunt and Daly Cherry-Evans to seal it for Queensland. He's doing a good job.
All right, we're going to leave Mitch there. He's got his hands full, I think. It's been 80 years since tens of thousands of young men headed to the beaches of Normandy for D-Day. They set out from Portsmouth, where Europe correspondent Ashley Mullaney is for us tonight.
Jerry, quite a crowd here today in Portsmouth. King Charles has delivered a stirring speech here to honour the hundreds of thousands of veterans who took part in the D-Day operation 80 years ago. Victory wasn't guaranteed, nor was the fate of the men and women involved in these operations, every aspect of these operations, the men who crossed these seas 80 years ago to liberate France and Europe. The message from King Charles today was that it is our duty to ensure that the next generation knows the courage and sacrifice that it took to go in.
Aircrew flying overhead, sailors manning warships, or troops in assault craft battering their way through the stormy swell to the shore, whether dropping by parachute, landing in a wooden glider, or taking that terrible leap of faith onto the beaches. All must have questioned whether they would survive and how they would respond when faced with such mortal danger. At this remove, 8 decades later, it is a near impossible task to imagine the emotion of that day. The pride of being part of so great an enterprise.
Now, joining King Charles today was Queen Camilla by his side, Prince William and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak too. From here, King Charles will be travelling to Normandy. Of course, the guests of honour here today as well were the veterans involved in the D-Day operations. But King Charles now heading from here to Normandy, and we will have full coverage from there tomorrow too, Jerry.
Ash Mullaney, thank you. In just the last few hours, the Prime Minister has addressed the ACTU Congress in Adelaide, his speech praising the union movement. Less than 12 months before we're likely to go to poll, it had all the hallmarks of an election campaign speech.
That's the thread that runs through so much of what we have achieved together over the past 2 years. Workers calling out the abuse of labour hire to undercut their pay and security, and our government closing that loophole to deliver same job, same pay. And our government's supported bargaining reforms have created the framework for some of the lowest paid workers in Australia to negotiate a better and fairer deal.
We're told Australia is on the brink of another recession, given the latest economic growth figure. In the March quarter, we grew as an economy just 0.1%. Growth hasn't been that slow since the recession in the early 90s. The opposition blames the Treasurer blames interest rates.
The primary cause of this very weak growth in our economy was higher interest rates. These numbers show that we got the budget exactly right. This is a justification for the government's approach to fighting inflation without smashing the economy.
This is the weakest annual growth in the economy since 1991. There's a whole generation of Australians who've never seen anything like this.
The Reserve Bank Governor admits our economy is weak, and when it comes to interest rate decisions, nothing is ruled in or out.
The board judges that, yes, we still are on that narrow path. We're forecasting that inflation will come back into target at the end of 25. If it turns out, for example, that inflation starts to go up again, or it's much stickier than we think, we're not getting it down, then we won't hesitate to move and raise interest rates again.
The RBA Board's next rate decision is due in just under a fortnight. The first steps have been taken to rein in the cost of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. It was revealed nearly 90% of providers aren't registered and billions have been rorted for drugs, cars and holidays.
Some people don't want scrutiny. The truth is, it's doing well, but it needs to have more consistency, equity, transparency and accountability.
The government admits the rorting is unacceptable. Laws to fix the issues are now headed for the Senate. A toddler has drowned in a dam west of Melbourne. 2-year-old Luke Huddle disappeared with the family dog yesterday afternoon. His mum had been feeding her horses. Police found Luca's body in a dam at the back of a neighbouring property. The 2-year-old's being remembered as a cheeky and adventurous boy who loved animals, especially his horses. A couple has been charged for robbing the home of a Sydney grandmother on the day of her funeral. The woman's family say the robbery has made their grief even worse. A 27-year-old woman captured on CCTV pushing a pram on the day of the incident was arrested this morning. Police have recovered stolen jewellery and family heirlooms. There's been a terrifying road rage attack in Sydney's southwest. Passengers on their way to an NRL match screamed, "He's got a knife." A man can be seen running toward their car armed with a knife. Even though the door of the white car was torn off, the driver managed to get back into his vehicle and chased after the car as they tried to escape. Tomorrow, Greg Lynn, Victoria's accused high country killer, is expected to take the stand. He'll give evidence at his trial for the murders of Carol Clay and Russell Hill. He'll be the only witness called by his defence counsel. The announcement was made in court late this afternoon after the prosecution completed its evidence. Mr Lynn admits he set fire to the couple's remains as part of a lengthy cover-up, but says he's innocent of murder. A man's been charged over a cruel scam. It targeted the family of murdered Victorian woman Hannah Maguire. She was allegedly killed by her ex-boyfriend in April. The 26-year-old's accused of stealing $65,000, the entire proceeds of a GoFundMe campaign. The money was supposed to help support her grieving parents. Police say he used the money to fund a gambling addiction. While a Middle East peace deal edges closer, Israel is pressing on with its campaign in Gaza. Its last strikes have been on what it says are Hamas militant targets. At least 44 Palestinians have been killed in the area in the last 24 hours. Israel's Prime Minister says the campaign against Hamas will now turn to the country's north. Officials from the US, Qatar and Egypt are expected to work to advance a ceasefire deal. An Italian court has reconvicted Amanda Knox for slander. She wrongly accused a bartender of killing her roommate in 2007. Today, she appeared in an Italian court for the first time in over a decade. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but the sentence has no practical impact as it counts as time already served. Knox spent 4 years in an Italian jail for the murder of her roommate before she was cleared of the crime. Australian athletes are being warned the Paris Olympics won't be all beers and skittles. There are real fears the Games will likely be disrupted by protests, even terrorist attacks. A cyber attack also high on the list. Add to that the water quality in the River Seine for triathlon and marathon swimmers. So far, it's failed testing. There was a briefing today to discuss every possible problem. A federal police officer and 2 security experts will travel with our team.
Our responsibility is not the security of the Olympic Games. That is the matter for the French authorities.
There was some good news. There'll be pallets of Weet-Bix, Vegemite and pies, as well as 3 baristas on hand to keep up supplies to our team. It's been revealed more P&O cruises have been cancelled. It comes after the shock decision by parent company Carnival to retire the brand. Several Pacific Adventure and Pacific Encounters have been dumped. The liners will be out of action in March while they're rebranded and undergo technical upgrades. P&O says affected passengers will be refunded. Tributes are flooding in for John Blackman tonight. The TV and radio legend and longtime voice of Hey Hey It's Saturday has died at the age of 76. It's understood he suffered a heart attack. Tyra Stowers takes a look back at the entertainer's life. It's believed John Blackman had a heart attack and collapsed on his couch in his wife's arms, Jerry, after a harrowing battle with cancer. He was the old school voice of Australian TV, funny, sharp-witted and brave in the face of illness after he beat cancer the first time, only for it to return.
As you can see, my face has changed a bit. It's not so bad because all the people I borrowed money from don't recognise me anymore. So if you're out there...
Blackman's career started in radio in the late 1960s, but he was best known for his voiceover work on Hey Hey It's Saturday, which ran for decades. He famously voiced the character Dickie Knee. And today, a number of Australian entertainers, some of his colleagues and loved ones have all paid tribute.
What's special about your balls in here?
Well, they're yellow for a start, which I go and see somebody about.
It came as a hell of a shock when I heard today that he'd gone, because he was at my birthday party only a couple of months ago.
You're an idiot. How dare you call me an idiot?
You're an idiot.
When I think of John Blackman, I have the biggest smile because apart from all that, he was so kind. He was a really kind, one of the goodies in the business.
Sweet, gentle, generous man who was vitally interested in comedy.
Great dad, great brother, a terrific mate, and a really funny guy to be around.
Does your dad know you've got his golfing hat on?
Hey Hey's cartoonist Andrew Fife helping him sign off for one last time. John Blackman was 76, Jerry. You're watching the latest from 7 News. Ahead for you tonight, why Australia's dropped legal action against social media platform X, moving toward a better treatment for one of the most common reasons for vision loss, and the questionable daredevil who claims the law won't stop him. Next on the latest from 7 News. Australia's online safety watchdog has dumped its legal action against Elon Musk's social media company X. The case was aimed at permanently removing vision of the Wakeley church stabbing. Let's bring in Rob Scott now. Rob, the billionaire is happy about this. Talk us through what's happened today.
Well, Jerry, you'll remember the very graphic footage of Sydney Bishop Mari Emanuel being stabbed mid-sermon back in April. Well, the e-Safety Commissioner had been locked in a bitter court battle with the social media platform X ever since then to have that vision pulled down, trying to prevent it from going viral and potentially inciting more violence. But today, the Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, decided to abandon that fight.
Well, they did have a phalanx of lawyers and probably the most expensive KC in Australia. So, of course, I have to use prudent use of public funds. I'm also going to court with X Corp in 5 other cases. So I made a strategic decision to withdraw here.
Elon Musk, the owner of X, had labelled Ms. Inman-Grant a censorship commissar, and today he tweeted that freedom of speech is worth fighting for. Ms. Inman-Grant says that his tweets to his 181 million followers led to her getting death threats. But despite all that pressure, she was able initially to get a temporary global takedown order of the Sydney stabbing vision, an order which X never actually complied with. But last month, the federal court refused to extend that order. So Ms. Inman-Grant says she now looks forward to continuing the fight in the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. That is action that's been instigated by X. It's challenging the validity of her decision to issue that takedown notice. Jerry?
Medibank tonight faces fines that could run into tens of millions of dollars. It's being sued by Australia's privacy watchdog over a data breach in 2022. It exposed personal details of almost 10 million customers. Hackers demanded a ransom that Medibank refused to pay. It faces fines of over $2 million for each violation. Renowned entertainer Kamal wants an intimidation charge laid against him dismissed on mental health grounds. The 89-year-old is accused of sending threatening text messages targeting a 38-year-old woman after he'd lent her money. The case is back in court in October. A P-plate driver's reckless joyride has been caught on camera. 4 women can be seen in a white hatchback driving around a Perth car park. 3 of them are sitting up and out of the car's open windows. Officers are hunting the hoon behind the wheel. Australia's favourite blue heelers getting their own set of coins known as dollar bucks. The limited run collection features Bluey on her own, with her family, and dressed up as the grannies. The Royal Australian Mint hopes the dollar bucks could spark a new generation of collectors. The commemorative coins hit shelves tomorrow. Australian researchers are working toward groundbreaking treatment for a debilitating condition. Macular degeneration generally hits people over 50. It's a leading cause of vision loss, and the treatment can be time-consuming, involving injections directly into the patient's eye. This new treatment would be in the form of gene therapy in an eye drop. A procedure would start the process to create new and functioning copies of the defective eye gene.
More convenient and also more comfortable. Potentially replace need for regular eye injection with a simple eye drop.
It would be groundbreaking. It would completely change the way macular degeneration is treated, and it would be so much easier for the patient as well.
The treatment is about 5 to 10 years away from human trials. A Gold Coast daredevil has been slammed after risking his life for likes on social media. The teen, who calls himself Mad Johnny, posted this video online. He climbs onto the roof of a car, then launches himself from the moving vehicle off a bridge.
We did a couple preps before, and we also had a lot of people there. Checking the water, of course, checking the road and checking the boats.
I do hope that there's the number plate recognition there, and I hope that they do throw the book at him.
Police warn the teen could be fined more than $3,000 or face up to a year behind bars, but Mad Johnny says he won't be stopped, claiming he has another stunt planned this weekend. Still to come, your national weather forecast, then a baby boom helping to boost numbers of some native animals. Our final frames are next. Stay with us. You're on the latest from 7 News. Hello again. Time for weather now. Taking a look around the country tomorrow. Sunshine in Brisbane, rain developing in Sydney, 18 degrees, 15 the top for Canberra, partly cloudy for Melbourne and Adelaide. Hobart will be overcast. Perth looking a bit wild with rain, a possible storm and gusty winds. Darwin at the other end of the spectrum, sunny and 31. Cairns climbing to 26 degrees, a shower or two for Newcastle and Coffs Harbour. Then Geelong and Bendigo, both 17. Mount Gambier and Whyalla aiming for 16. Slightly cooler in Alice Springs, 15 degrees there. Tonight's final frame, a zoo baby boom. It's happened at Perth Zoo. Almost 200 critically endangered species have been born in its native species breeding program. 38 western swamp tortoises have hatched, 14 numbat joeys counted in their mum's pouches, and more than 100 white-bellied frogs. It's hoped their release into the wild will help build out their numbers. Our final frames. Thank you for your company from the team. That's the latest. I'm Jerrie Demasi. Good night.